Before we get into the meat of our podcast, we are going into our first segment, which we are calling Shoot the Breeze. It's literally the time of the show where we catch up and talk about things we're loving, that we're into, just the light stuff, you know? So we think you'll enjoy this little bit. All right, Nick, here we are. It's my last night in Denver with you.
I know, it makes me sad.
I know, it's been so good.
It's been so good. We convinced Jeff to move our recording area from the kitchen table to the couch. And so we're chilling
relaxed
on the couch with cups of tea. It's just magic.
It is. And let me tell you, if you guys ever visit Denver, let me tell you about the dinner we just had, especially for all of you who, you know, are paleo or gluten-free or dairy-free or soy-free or happiness-free like yours truly. People going out to eat with me are like, oh my gosh, like eye rolling. It's like, what the heck,
our waiter
man?
was amazing.
Amazing. He's like, okay, lay it on me. I'm like, well, I can't have this, and this, and this. Can't have this, and this. He's like, okay, all right. So what I think we're going to do for you.
You could tell it was more than what he was expecting, but he rolled with it.
He totally did. He was so kind.
Yeah.
So kind. So he was
This is at
awesome.
The Populist, by the way.
Yeah, the
If
Populist.
you're in Denver, the restaurant is the Populist. It's in Rhino.
Yeah.
And the food was amazing.
It was amazing.
And he was fantastic.
He was fantastic. The service was fantastic. It's upscale, but not so upscale that it's too pish posh or pish posh.
And can we talk about their patio?
Okay. The ivy wall, the lights outside, the picnic tables. It was stunning. We took some pictures out there, but we ate inside, had fabulous cocktails.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, fabulous cocktails. Had this cool salt and vinegar popcorn. Makes me think of my girl Jamie.
Oh, yeah. It was
so
delicious.
good. This awesome salad and this chilled artichoke with a few different dipping sauces. A couple of us Brittany and I got the halibut, which was, I kid you not, first of all, the whole meal was seasoned to perfection, but the sear on that halibut.
Everything had such flavor.
Oh, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was sensational.
Moral of the story is go to the Populist if and when you're in Denver.
The funniest moment to me. So, Brittany had told us that the chef there has celiac disease. So he or she, I don't know if the chef is a he or she, makes gluten-free dessert. So we're like, awesome, we can get dessert too, because this was a night for us to thank our girlfriend Brittany, who's been so good to us in so many ways, just helping with the podcast feedback. She's got a great.
She's produced a podcast.
Yeah, she knows marketing and brand.
Media, marketing person,
all that. So we're celebrating her and all that. She's just amazing. But we're there and we're like, oh, cool, so we can get dessert too. So there were these macaroons, and anyway, they didn't have them, but we were like, he brings us the check pre-dessert, and he's like, is there anything else I can get for you ladies? And we're like, well, what's your dessert menu? And he said, for you guys, just sorbet. That's all I got. Because there were so much. We're gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, rice-free, potato-free. Can't have this. I mean, it was everything. No nightshades. I mean, he was like, I don't know what to do. Like, how can you even think about a dessert? You can't eat anything. And Nicole was like, I can eat anything. Please give me the menu. So she had a beautiful pot de creme, and it was one of those delicious meals where you could have a little bit of everything, and I didn't roll out of there. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm so full.
I'm feeling great.
Oh gosh, it was amazing. So the Populist in Denver, shout out to our waiter. We don't know his name, but what a guy.
What a guy.
I wanted to put him in my pocket and take him home with me.
I think you told him that at one point in the night.
Speaking of telling people things, can we tell our listeners what you did to me today?
Yeah, let's do it.
So today we're on our way.
Our day revolved around food, actually, now that you're going to tell the story.
Hello. So we're getting up and we're going to go to this spot called the Protein Bar, which is amazing. I've never seen them before. I guess DC might have some, but that might be new. I didn't know about that.
Denver's the first time I'd been to
Yeah,
one.
it is amazing. So anyway, you can get all the kinds of good shakes and blah, blah, blah. So we're going to get a smoothie on our way out. Well, there's this girl in front of us in line, and she's got the perfect balayage haircut. Like, her hair color is a little bit similar to mine.
And it was a cute little blunt cut.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But the blonde in it was so good. And it was like the cool tone. I don't know how you say these things in hair speak. But
so Mira looks at me at one point after we've gotten our smoothies, and she points this woman out, and she's like, I've been secretly taking pictures of her hair. I mean, just look at her hair.
I did in line. I was taking burst shots in case she turned around or whipped her hair or something. So I was taking all these pictures.
I'm like, Mary, you should tell her that. Make her feel so good.
Oh yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Oh no. I don't even say yeah, it's fine before Nicole says, excuse me, ma'am, she's been taking pictures of your hair, and she wasn't going to tell you that, but we just feel like you should know your hair looks amazing. And I'm like,
And she was so happy.
Yeah. And I'm like, Nicole, thank you. I look like a freaking
And
stalker
she actually
idiot.
was like, well, do you want me to turn around
Yeah.
so you can get a good shot?
I know it worked out well, and I got another shot. But I was like, okay, thank you,
that
Mom.
made her day. And
Yeah.
if it were you, it would have made yours too.
Well, sure. Yeah, I know. And this is my
And I
deficiency.
totally called
like
you out.
you totally did.
Yeah.
But this is my deficiency. Like, what if she had been some mean girl? What if the response was like, that's weird? And then I would have felt rejected. Like, I don't want to feel rejected. So it's so funny. Like, now that we peel that back, we don't need to peel it back. But like, I'm just thinking, oh gosh, that was me being scared of being rejected, which
Yeah.
is so interesting, which is why I felt like I had to take pictures of her hair in secret like a weirdo stalker. So, that's that. That was part of our day.
That's so funny.
So
Tell us about, so part of Shooting the Breeze is obviously talking about things that we're digging, things that we're loving. You've been going on and on about, is it Heart and
Head to Heart.
podcast?
Yeah, the Head to Heart podcast with Krista and Luke Gifford. I think Krista Black Gifford maybe is how I've seen her on Instagram. And then
How'd
I've
you
seen her
hear about this podcast?
because I have been following her, and then she has a Instagram account for gals only called Spiritually Sexy.
Okay.
The concepts she's introducing are really, really interesting. So yeah, have kind of been interested in her story for a while. She had one of my favorite quotes about grief that I don't remember in this particular moment.
gonna
but
butcher it?
Yeah, so I would have to pull it up and all that jazz. But all that to say, it's beautiful. But they've got a really cool story. So they have a podcast together, husband and wife, and I've been listening to that. And they just basically resurrected the podcast after a couple years of being off the air. And it's the two of them, and the concepts that they're talking about sound, I don't know what the language is, progressive, new agey, whatever, but like in this
I'll eat that
freeing,
up.
beautiful way that's like holds space for healing and for growth and for what we would call deconstruction. And I didn't know, we got that term from Jonathan Martin, Nicole, you and I, and if any of you don't
did.
know, I did. And then I gave it to us basically. So just copied it. If any of you don't know Jonathan Martin.
Yeah,
it's a huge-
bigger thing that's
It
been
is.
going on for a while.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I just was like, that's a genius concept. That's exactly what I've been experiencing. But
Yeah.
as it turns out, a lot of people have as well. So which is cool. You're
Yeah.
not alone. So these are people that are maybe a generation ahead of us, 10 to 15 years older than us that have been experiencing this stuff and are ahead of us in this process. And so the
That's
Head
like
to Heart
Michael
podcast.
Gungor on the Liturgist podcast,
Yes.
even with Science Mike, his co-host on the Liturgist podcast, they talk a lot about
Yeah.
deconstruction and their journey.
Yeah.
Having grown up in a faith and then what that process has been
Yes.
like. Yeah.
Yes. So they are holding space for theirs. It's just I posted in our story some of the quotes, and you
Cool.
can find that in our highlights actually, where we have a highlight for quotes. You can see some Luke Gifford's quotes from that podcast. It was I just found myself just like,
I love the idea of a husband-wife duo.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just say, and this is on a much smaller scale, but even working with Jeff on the Room for Both podcast has been so much fun. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, there's little that we've collaborated on because our work worlds are so
Sure.
different, but we're both like creative.
totally.
And I would encourage anybody, if you can find a project to take on with your spouse, of one that you won't kill each other over, right?
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah,
It's really fun.
It is. And I do think it takes getting to a really healthy place, because I think, I could say that Scott and I could do a project now. I think we would have killed each other at year 4 or 5 of marriage. And I'm not saying that year 9 we're got it all
Yeah,
figured out. I just
yeah.
think we're both at healthier places individually and can express things in a different way that, I don't know. We just have some more tools.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So Kristen Luke's story is really beautiful and fascinating and raw and authentic and approachable. And anyway, I just highly recommend that podcast. That's also under Podcasts We Love. I'm not trying to give a shout out for our Instagram highlights. I'm just letting you know that you can find these resources on our Instagram.
And we'll put it in our show notes
In the
as
show
well.
notes. But yeah, I've been into that. But that's kind of my tidbit, the Head to Heart podcast. But what about you, Nick? What's going on with you?
Gosh, okay, I'll bring something that I'm pretty sure I might be the last person to the party on this, so it may not be a revelation to anybody.
Okay, well,
but
all right,
I
room for all.
learned recently about smile.amazon.com, like the fact that you can go to that URL instead of just Amazon. And if you order through there, you can pick a charity that you want a certain percentage. I don't think it's all purchases, but qualifying purchases, you're searching all the same products, you're filling your cart in the same way, but just by going to the Smile URL instead of Amazon.com URL, anything that qualifies then gets, as a percentage of your purchase, gets donated to the organization that you choose.
What an easy way to give back.
It's a no-brainer. I mean,
It's
you're
a
doing
no-brainer.
nothing
It literally was
different
shopping,
other than
right.
remembering to bookmark Smile instead of not. And I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
so
been out there
helpful.
for a long time. So this may not be news to anybody but me, but
But it's a good
it's
reminder to
awesome.
shop that way because
Yeah.
we're all on Amazon. That's the dang truth.
totally.
Thanks for listening to the Room for Both podcast. We're always open for feedback, so if there was something that you resonated with or would like for us to discuss, please visit roomforbothpodcast.com or find us on Instagram at Room for Both Podcast and drop us a line. And also, while you're at it, would you do us a solid and rate this podcast so that we can eventually pay our sound guy?